rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. Oh, yeah, Mrs. Whiskey really does not like that. Anyway, hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. I do appreciate every single one of you. And by the way, in case anybody has not noticed, Gavin Newsom's gambit on redistricting apparently is now going to court, and even the Department of Justice has joined in on the court case. I have a feeling that it might have, it's going to have some interesting ramifications, mainly just because of the fact that it violates their state constitution, which is, something that they can't just vote to decide to suspend. So I have a feeling that's going to be a big point in the lawsuit. But, more on that in a little bit. We had a treasure trove. Well, I don't know if it's really a treasure trove, but a bunch of documents get dumped here in the last 24 hours. And, of course, the leftists are all abuzz because it's mostly related to Epstein. Yeah, mostly related to Epstein. But, yeah. Anyway. Oh, my goodness. And John Fetterman, of course, apparently fell and smacked his head or something along those lines. And something happened there. But I hope that he's okay. Let's just put it that way. I hope that he's okay. Let's put this at... No. Come on. Up. Come on, get close. There. Okay, close enough. Anyway. All right. So, here we are, all together. I got a couple things that are going on for tonight. God, I gotta quit getting distracted by all the other things going on here. You know, this is part of the problem with not having a off-camera producer. When you're doing it all yourself, you tend to get distracted occasionally. Anyway, let's go ahead and kick things off tonight. We will be receiving a heavenly Pledge of Allegiance, none other than our late, rest in peace, my friend, Buddy Weiser is up for the pledge. So if you are of mind, please stand. Remove your hats if you're wearing one like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with our dear friend and dearly departed Buddy Weiser as he recites the Pledge of Allegiance.
I hereby pledge my allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which she stands, one nation under one God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all her citizens. So help me God.
And rest in peace, my friend. If you would like to hear your rendition of the pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing the pledge in your style, and then take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and send it off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online, and I will get you into the rotation. I am looking for number 21. 21. That would be nice. And then, of course, I'll follow along with 22. But 21 is next. Come on, get it in. And if you're doing it on your phone, I hear from a very heavenly source that you can hit that share button on the phone, and that will basically do the same thing. Sending it off to me, send it to fans@americanperspective.online. That's fans, fans@americanperspective.online, and I will, of course, get you into the rotation. All right, tonight's headline sponsor is none other than the Institute on the Constitution, which was established in 2004 as a 501c3 nonprofit with one singular mission, and that is to restore the constitutional republic through grassroots education. All courses and materials are developed using primary source documents and taught from the American view of law and government as defined in the Declaration of Independence in the following 3 key points. 1, there is a God. 2, our rights come from him. And 3, the purpose of civil government is to secure and protect our God-given rights. The IOTC offers the opportunity to educate yourself on our most precious founding document, the Constitution of the United States. They also provide tools to educate your community and get involved with local government. Start by taking their free U.S. Constitution course and go from there. Use my affiliate link, iotc.americanperspective.online, to sign up. And while you are there, take a moment to look through their other course material and information. My affiliate link, once again, is iotc.americanperspective.online to get great content to learn about our historical founding and support the show in the process. That's iotc.americanperspective.online, or if you just want to purchase this fabulous Saddleback leather-bound U.S. Constitution to support the show, go to constitution.americanperspective.online. Take a look at this thing. Got 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue here, folks. This is stitched all the way through the pages and the leather that wraps around it. It's got a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if there is a problem with this thing, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. It is buddy tested, buddy approved. It's also Billy tasted, Billy approved. And my youngest whiskey warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you study for your civics badge in scouting, as well as your civics exam. Head on over to constitution.americanperspective.online and get yours today. You know, you should get one for every single person in your family. Stick it in that stocking. I'm telling you, stick it in that stocking, whether they are a leftist lunatic or a conservative smart person. They'll all appreciate it. Trust me. Head on over to constitution.americanperspective.online to get yours today, and also check out the rest of the Institute on the Constitution for all of their offerings and wonderful things that they have available. They got a plethora of information books and things like that. Just fantastic. Yeah, you should go and check them out, and I thank them for allowing me to be an affiliate. All right. Oh. All right. Well, let's start off with some good news, especially if you were one of the many federal employees that were not getting paychecks. Their paychecks are expected to start going out this Saturday, so 2 days away. And they're going to begin going out following the end of the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, well, in modern history anyway. So according to a memo that was reviewed by Semaphore, the Trump administration has laid out an agency-by-agency plan to issue back pay to hundreds of thousands of employees who went without checks during the 43-day lapse. Document says that pay will start going out this weekend with the goal of completing the first round of payments by November 19th as agencies work through their own payroll systems. Roughly 12,400 workers at the GSA, that's the General Services Administration, and the OPM, which is the Office of Personnel Management, are obviously first in line with the back pay scheduled to be processed on Saturday. Those checks will include base pay only, with any adjustments being handled in the next pay cycle. So it'll be the next pay cycle when any kind of adjustments get added. On Sunday, according to the memo, employees at the Departments of Energy, Health and Human Services, Veterans Affairs, along with Army and other civilian War Department workers are slated to receive pay that includes overtime and hazard pay, the memo said. Monday is going to be workers at Education, State, Interior, Transportation, the EPA, NASA, the National Science Foundation, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and the Social Security Administration. Those will all be expected to follow, covering another 150,000 additional employees. For many agencies, the round of back pay will cover missed wages from October 1st through November 1st, with the remaining days of the shutdown paid on later checks because of the differing payroll vendors and schedules. A second group of departments, including Agriculture, Commerce, Homeland Secretary, Housing and Urban Development, Justice, Labor, Treasury, and the Small Business Administration, is projected to have full shutdown back pay processed by November 19th. And the Hill also confirmed that federal workers will begin seeing money as soon as Saturday, noting that the White House has urged agencies to move expeditiously and accurately so employees aren't left waiting any longer than necessary. CBS News pointed out that workers guaranteed retroactive pay under the Government Employee Fair Treatment Act of 2019, which requires agencies to issue back wages as soon as possible once funding is restored. So there you go. And of course, President Trump signed that stopgap bill to reopen the government last night, funding most operations through January 30th and rolling back any planned layoffs. So all of that's going to happen. Now, of course, you know, the Democrats tried to leverage the shutdown to force a expansion of the Obamacare subsidies. Republicans held firm and keeping the fight over new entitlements separate from basic government funding, which was a good thing. So there you go. If you are waiting for your paycheck, there is the thing for it. Now, one of the arguments or one of the points that the Democrats had problems with, of course, was SNAP, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Well, the secretary, I think, I don't know what they call her. She is the USDA Secretary, Brooke Rollins. Brooke Rollins was on the Fox News Laura Ingraham show. I'm not sure what her show is called, but anyway, I don't know, the Ingraham Angle, I guess. But anyway, she was speaking with Fox News' Laura Ingraham and pointed out a few things. About SNAP that I think a lot of people might find interesting. So let's head on over there and listen to this little clip.
How do we stop this before it starts so they can't even get as far as they get in these schemes? It's overwhelming.
It's pretty remarkable. And let me level set us for just a minute. It's so great to be on and talk about this. And it's funny. I think, well, funny is probably not the right word, but I do think what the Democrats did not include in their calculation in their insane government shutdown was the fact that this spotlight was going to be shined upon one of their favorite government welfare programs that under Joe Biden increased 40%. Where all that money went, trying to buy elections, we're not 100% sure, but we're rolling it back now. On day one, back in February, for me, we sent a letter to every governor saying, send us your SNAP data. All of this money that the federal government, the taxpayers are paying for food stamps, we don't even know where it goes, what happens, what they're doing with it. And we said no more. So 29 states complied and 20 plus others did not. And we're suing. We're in a litigation right now. But of the 29 that complied, what we have found is staggering. 500,000 people getting benefits 2 times under the same name, 5,000 dead people. 80% of the able-bodied Americans, meaning they can work, they don't have small children at home, they're not taking care of an elderly parent, they can work and they choose not to work, of course, because they're getting significant benefits from the taxpayer. So this light, Laura, that has now been shined on what is perhaps one of the most corrupt, dysfunctional programs in American history, that we are working now. Very big announcements coming next week on this. We are cracking down. We now have a plan to fix it, and we're really, really excited about doing that for the American people.
Well, that's kind of interesting. They found duplicates and people who aren't supposed to be on the rolls, and yeah. Well, you know what, folks? Let's just put it this way. Nothing the government touches is ever going to be run correctly. It will always be waste, fraud, and abuse whenever government gets involved. I don't care whether it's a Republican or a Democrat program. If it's not in Article 1, Section 8 as a constitutionally mandated responsibility of the federal government, it needs to go away. End of story. And I know, I was talking with Steven Stiles earlier today. You remember Steven. He's my hockey guy. Anyway, Steven was sitting there and we were talking. We always get together and we talk about the world problems, and we come up with solutions sometimes and things like that. But anyway, yeah, it's such a mess. These people have expanded our federal government way outside of our of its constitutional boundaries, and yeah. Anyway, so I can't. I don't understand why people really and clearly don't seem to get this. The federal government is not supposed to be your nanny. The federal government is not supposed to be your mommy or your daddy or anything else. The federal government is to protect you from foreign invaders and to help be the, I don't want to call them the referee, but the mitigating subject whenever two states go at each other. That's it. That's absolutely it. That's all. Okay? That's all. And why people don't seem to understand this, I'll never know. I'm going to continue to do my job here, though, and try to get it done. But anyway, 21 states. You notice she couldn't do the math real quick. I don't know why. But, 29 minus 50 means 21 is left over. I'm just saying. Anyway, there were 21 states. You'll notice 29 of the states complied, shared their SNAP data with the administration. 21 states refused to do so, and 2 of those states that refused to share data sued the administration over the matter. So, yeah. Earlier in February, Rawlins did reveal that under the Trump administration, around 700,000 people have been removed from the program already, and 118 arrests have been made in connection to fraud investigations. So there you go. This administration is attempting to do what it can to try and make sure that our government money is being spent appropriately. And so far, I think they're doing a bang up job of it. Although I wish that President Trump and his administration would actually sue Congress on behalf of the American people for the unconstitutional laws that are across the board. Basically sue on behalf of the American people under the 10th Amendment. That's I've racked my brain and I've been trying to figure out if there's a way that somebody like myself with literally hardly any resources available could actually do something like that, because I'm getting completely tired of this idea, knowing that the federal government is working well outside of its boundaries. And yet Congress isn't going to do it. I mean, you want Congress to do it, but that's sort of just like term limits or any of that other stuff, cutting back their pay or whatever. Yeah, none of that's going to happen. I'm just guaranteeing. I mean, that's them shooting themselves in the foot. You would have to have, 535 people all have a immediate sense of integrity and shoot you, give it a shot in the arm or whatever in order for all of that to happen. But no, that'll never happen. And so even if you have one or two people with integrity in there, they won't do it. They won't do it. So, yeah. Three Chevy asks, can you actually sue Congress? I honestly don't know. I know you can sue the federal government, but I don't know if you can actually sue Congress. Although, I mean, realistically, that's what this would be. Is it would have to sue Congress because Congress are the legislators. And I don't know. I think it's an interesting exercise. So there you go. Anyway. Well, speaking of shots. This wasn't really my segue, my intended segue, but it worked. Speaking of shots. Rand Paul, I'm just going to say, Rand Paul may be a dick when it comes to things like government spending and stuff like that. He may be a rhino in disguise when it comes to other subjects. But I got to tell you, this dog, known as Rand Paul, has gotten the bone in his mouth. And he's going to try and dig up. Well, I don't know. It's kind of started with the dog analogy. Maybe it's more of a horse analogy where the horse has gotten his bit in his teeth and he's just going after this whole thing with regards to COVID. But yeah, he's dove down into the rabbit hole with regards to COVID-19 and where this stuff has come from. And now, Rand Paul has released some documents revealing what is apparently a connection between the Office of the Director of National Intelligence and a University of North Carolina professor named Ralph Barrick. And that Barrick apparently was involved in the Wuhan project, and it's because of his involvement in that project that directly led to the Office of the Director of National Intelligence their lies about the lab leak theory. Well, we all know that the lab leak is no longer a theory. It actually is outside of, 100% verifiable evidence. It is the most likely origin of the COVID-19 virus. But all of that being said, the intelligence office apparently, according to these documents, the intelligence office attempted to conceal its ties to Barrick. And Barrick's U.S.-funded research would have strongly suggested a connection between the pandemic and his actual work. The ODNI publicly rejected the lab leak theory as misinformation, while privately acknowledging the possible connection between Barrick's work and the pandemic. So Barrick gave a presentation. This is reporting by the Daily Caller. Barrick gave a presentation to the ODNI in January of 2020 that showing that he advised American intelligence that COVID may have emerged from a lab. The documents also indicate. The report continues and says, Barrick shared with the WIV, Barrick shared that the Wuhan Institute of Virology had sequenced thousands of SARS-like coronaviruses, including strains capable of epidemics. These things show. It says Barrick noted that the Wuhan lab does this work under low biosafety levels, despite the ability of some of these viruses to infect and grow in human lung cells. What Barrick omitted, though, is that he had submitted a grant application in 2018 with intentions to conduct research to make coronaviruses with the same rare features seen in COVID, while concealing the Wuhan lab's low biosafety level, jotting in the margins of a draft of the grant application that Americans would freak out if they knew about the shoddy standards. 1 year after Barrick's presentation, the ODNI had hardened against the lab leak hypothesis. So, according to these documents, Wuhan's lab was officially a BSL-2, which is biosafety level 2. Now, keep in mind, 4 is the most secure, which was very misleading considering the danger posed by the leak of a coronavirus designed to sicken and kill a significant number of people. The Wuhan Institute of Virology was, for all intents and purposes, a third world lab with poorly trained lab assistants and a horrible safety record, which we all know all about that. We got all of that stuff out there. Americans called out its safety protocols on several occasions. The cover-up of these facts, as well as the ODNI's connection to Professor Barrick and his work with the specific coronavirus that might have leaked, fill in some of the blank spaces in the pandemic origins narrative. Yeah. So what should have happened was that Barrick's presentation in 2020 to the ODNI should have sent off alarm bells about our funding of the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Instead, the agencies decided to hunker down and weather the storm. So they tried to cover that up. Now, it is unclear, just to be fair, whether or not Anthony Fauci was aware of the cover-up. However, he was aware, certainly aware, of the research that Barrick was doing. It was clearly gain-of-function research where Barrick was trying to engineer a coronavirus that would be more contagious and more lethal than anything that appeared in the wild. So, yeah. There you go. Oh, now, of course, Rand Paul, just to catch everybody up, Rand Paul has been trying to indict Fauci for perjuring himself when he denied that there was any gain-of-function research performed by U.S.-funded scientists, which we all know is a crap deal. Fauci's pardon by Joe Biden is going to face challenges given Biden's mental state, also the information that has now been found by that other committee with regards to this. Fauci skirted the line between obfuscation and perjury many times during his congressional testimony, and much of what the new documents reveal has been suspected, but not proven. Senator Paul is now getting closer to uncovering a conspiracy that would indict many respected scientists and U.S. intelligence agencies in a cover-up that led to the deaths of 7 million people. Wow. Boy, we're just finding out all kinds and sorts of things about all of this stuff that's going on. Yeah, it's kind of, believe me, the truth will come out. It definitely will come out over time for sure. And so the sunlight, the disinfecting, unit of sunlight will take care of anything that's being hidden in the dark. I'm just going to tell you that the light of truth shall shine. The light of truth shall shine. Okay. Sorry, I'm getting a couple things up that I missed earlier in the day, or earlier in the program. So let me just get these going here now so that I can see. There we go. All of the chat windows, really. All right. So, before I move on to the next subject in the program, let me go ahead and kick off, or at least talk to you about. Interesting. Let me go ahead and talk to you a little bit about Rumble. Rumble, that's right. Rumble. If you haven't already, make sure you download the Rumble app. It's free, simple to use, and the best way to stay connected to the content that you want, like this channel. So once you've got it, make sure that you search up my channel and hit follow. That way, you'll get a notification every time that I go live. No missed shows, no extra steps. And not only that, but if you have it on your phone, you get to carry, well, me along with you. You can grab it right now using the link in the description or pinned in the chat, or check out your Apple Store, Google Play, all of those places. You can download it to your phone, and you're ready to go. And if you prefer watching on the big screen, as I know some people do, although why anybody would want to look at me on a big screen, I have no idea. Maybe it's just more of my fantastic graphics or the video that's running in the background. I don't know. But that being said, if you do prefer watching me on the big screen, Rumble is available on all of the major streaming devices and smart TVs. Just search for the word Rumble and follow the channel, this channel right here, and be part of the action. I know there are a couple of my Whiskey Warriors who watch me on the screen and then have the chat app open on their iPad, and so they can watch and chat at the same time. Just a fabulous conversation, or combination, I should say. And you get fabulous conversations from all of the folks that are there. So, oh, and yes, I do have to recall, you don't necessarily want to look at me. You want to look at some of my guests, because I've had a couple of really good interviews here recently that you really got to go and check out. Last week's shows, man. Let me go and... all you have to do really is search for special guest. Once you get to my channel on the Rumble page, just search for special guest and you'll get my interviews, because I always put special guest in the subject line of the shows. So that's the easiest way to do that. Anyway, as I was saying, get the Rumble app. Go and download the Rumble app, get it on your phone, and make sure you take all of your favorite shows and content creators with you wherever you go. And of course, make sure that you search up my channel and hit that green follow button after you've downloaded the app to get notified every single time that I go live. So go ahead and do that. Just search for Rumble, follow the channel, and be part of the action. You got to get over to Rumble, folks. The Rumble chat is the hottest chat of this show, for sure. All right. I love Rumble. Anyway, so as much as I don't want to talk about this, I kind of have to. And the reason why I kind of have to is because of the fact that the dumbass Democrats, that's right, the dumbass Democrats have decided to attempt to put out these emails that they are assuming that guilt by association is going to actually take down Trump. Yet again. Because none of the stuff that we have on the emails actually is anything really new or revealing. Much to the chagrin of the Democrats. So they put out a couple of emails, all right? And these two or three emails, yeah, they had some things in there. They had some references that, that Trump was there. There was a question on one of them regarding Trump where Epstein is saying, yeah, Trump definitely knew, definitely knew about the girls, which, that was why Jeffrey Epstein got kicked out of Mar-a-Lago. I mean, let's just say. There also is a reference, by the way, to Trump supposedly spending a lot of time with a victim. And the Democrats specifically, redacted the victim's name. Well, when you're going to do that, Democrats, whenever you do that, you got to make sure that there are no other sources of the exact same email. Because that exact same email has already been released to the public. The public already knew about it. And the supposed victim in that email was none other than Virginia Giuffre. Yeah. So the left is going all bonkers, all over. I mean, granted, I usually peruse X and Facebook. Those are the two most common places that you can find me. And they're all sitting there and they're all like, yay, Trump is done. Epstein files. Woo, dump. Sure. Well, it's kind of interesting that the Democrat Party, or the Democrat part of the equation, only dropped 3 of them, while the Republicans dropped 20,000 emails followed up. Well, anyway, it's just, I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry, but let's be completely honest here. Even if Giuffre said anything to Epstein about spending time with Donald Trump, supposedly hours at the house, which, keep in mind, Epstein is a liar. We know he's a liar. He, obviously he's dead now. So is Virginia Giuffre. Neither one of them can actually defend themselves here, or even supply any kind of an information piece to this. But Technofog, he's got his Substack, and he points out some really key information. And here's the information, or here's the oops. So here is the email, and as you can see, there's this victim. They blotted it out, and it's victim, but in actuality, it's Virginia. Spent several hours. Anyway. So that all being said, okay, Technofog goes ahead and debunks all of this, because of the fact that even though the email seems to contain serious allegations that were totally denied by Virginia Giuffre, or Jeffrey, however it's pronounced. See, Jeffrey was deposed back in November of 2016 as part of her lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, let's just point out that Virginia Giuffre was not used as a witness in the trial because prosecutors felt that she was not a reliable witness on her testimony, that there was something that they didn't care for. She didn't come off as being, maybe genuine to a jury or whatever. But the point here that I'm trying to make is she was sworn in under oath, and she did get asked specific questions about Donald Trump, about him and Jeffrey Epstein, and, of course, whether or not Trump actually did anything wrong. And so she was asked, what's inaccurate about the last statement on the page? Now, again, keep in mind, there was an interview with, apparently, that she had done with a reporter, and so she was being asked about this interview and how accurate it was. And and the question came as, what is inaccurate about the last statement on that page? Jeffrey says, Donald Trump was also a good friend of Jeffrey's. She goes, that part is true. He didn't partake in any sex with us, but he flirted with me. It's true that he didn't partake meaning Trump, that he didn't partake in any sex with us, but it's not true that he flirted with me. Donald Trump never flirted with me. So here it is. Donald Trump was a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Yep. Know that. That he didn't partake in any of the sex with any of the girls. Yep, we knew that too. That part is true, according to Jeffrey. And that he flirted with Jeffrey, well, that part's not true. So then she goes, or the question comes up and says, when you say he didn't partake in any sex with us, who is the us? Jeffrey answers, girls. And then the question comes, how do you know who Donald Trump had sex with? Jeffrey says, I didn't physically see him have sex with any of the girls, so I can't say who he had sex with in his whole life or not, but I just know it wasn't with me when I was with other girls. So the question goes, okay, so then who were the other girls that you were with in Donald Trump's presence? Jeffrey says, none. There, I worked for Donald Trump and I've met him probably a few times. Question asks, when have you met him? And she says, well, at Mar-a-Lago. My dad and him, I wouldn't say they were friends, but my dad knew him and they would talk all the time. Well, not all the time, but whenever they saw each other. Then the question comes, have you ever been in Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein's presence with one another? Joffrey? Nope. What is your basis for your statement that Donald Trump is a good friend of Jeffrey's? Well, Jeffrey told me that Donald Trump is a good friend of his. Oh my gosh, so that could be a lie. Question follows up, says, but you've never observed them together. Joffrey, no, that I can actually remember. I mean, not off the top of my head, no. Question, when did Donald Trump flirt with you? Joffrey, he didn't. That's what's inaccurate. Question, did you ever see Donald Trump at Jeffrey's home? Jeffrey, not that I can remember. Now, here's the thing, people. Trump never flirted with Joffrey, never had sex with Joffrey, never came on to Joffrey, was not seen in the house in Epstein's home by Joffrey, and not seen by Joffrey with any of the other girls. So why do these people keep trying to go after him? Now, keep in mind, it's not just Virginia Joffrey who talks about this. You remember that ABC or NBC? I can't remember which BC episode it was. They had like six victims, along with Virginia Joffrey's brother. Okay. And Virginia Joffrey, I don't know. I'm just trying to pronounce the last name. It's Guiffre, okay? But anyway, the Virginia sat there and her brother was on the panel. There were 6 of them. And the reporter asked publicly, said, hey, did any of you see Donald Trump? And they said no. Have any of you heard of Donald Trump doing anything nefarious or untoward? No. How many times do you leftist lunatic morons need to understand? Donald Trump did not do anything untoward, did not do anything bad in terms of Epstein and Epstein's girls. Donald Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago when he found out what a creep he was. Donald Trump volunteered for the first Florida case against Jeffrey Epstein. All of this stuff is ridiculous. We already know half of these, more than half of this. We know that Donald Trump and Epstein had a relationship at one point. We know that Donald Trump, by the way, I just found out too, or at least an unconfirmed report, that Donald Trump actually bought the property next to Mar-a-Lago in order to prevent Epstein from buying it. Now, whether or not that was done just because of, shall we say, a competitive nature, I don't know. Or maybe it was done to try and keep Epstein away from Mar-a-Lago. I have no idea. But the point is that, hey, when the fallout came from Jeffrey Epstein and Trump, everything pretty much blew up from there. And no, it wasn't that Donald Trump was in anything nefarious. And in fact, there's even a guy. Oh, here's a picture of Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton, but that's irrelevant to this. There's this guy who's known as Michael Wolff, Wolff. Now, Michael Wolff is sort of, if you could had a description, was sort of like Jeffrey Epstein's publicist in a way, and created all kinds of like stories and manufactured things and, told the truth sometimes, but told lies the other, and did all these things to try and cover up Jeffrey Epstein and his situation. And there was one email that came out that was kind of interesting about this, is that Epstein and Wolff colluded in an attempt to blackmail Trump. Now, this is in the National Pulse, and it talks about the publicized a series making public by the Democrats from the House Oversight Committee, a series of 2015 emails between Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and author Michael Wolff. Now, the Democrats, of course, are promoting that these redacted emails are something to go against Trump, which they're not. However, the Democrats seem to miss is the fact that these actually appear to show that Epstein was confirming to Wolff that Trump not only asked Ghislaine to stop trying to recruit girls, but that Wolff was also trying to advise Epstein on how Epstein could blackmail Donald Trump by, quote unquote, generating a debt. Epstein claims in one of the released emails to Wolff saying, Trump said he asked me to resign from the Mar-a-Lago Club, never a member, ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop. In another exchange, in another email, Wolff writes to Epstein, I hear CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in scrum afterwards. And Epstein responded back, if we were to be able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? At that point, Wolff actually advises Epstein about how to make this and manipulate a situation. He writes, I think you should let him hang himself, meaning Trump hang himself. If he says that he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. So, again, all of this really is nothing surprising other than the fact that this Wolff and Epstein tried to get something together to try and blackmail Trump. So, Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, you also need to understand, too, that Virginia Jeffrey, did report seeing former President Bill Clinton and former Vice President, I should say, Al Gore on Epstein's private island, Little St. James. So, yeah. And that was revealed, of course, by Carolyn Levitt today. Folks, this is a big nothing burger. That's literally all it is, okay? This is a big nothing burger. And I got to be honest with you, I can understand Trump's frustration over the fact that this thing keeps coming around, keeps shockingly showing back up every single time. And, you know, they're attempting to do all of these things because they want to, let's say, distract from the Schumer shutdown and how bad it was and how bad they got shellacked in the opening up of the government now. Not to mention all of this other information, like the whole SNAP thing that came out. And now we have the Wuhan lab link thing coming out. We also have another leak. We have another document, or actually another revelation. Newsom's former chief of staff was arrested by the FBI on bank and wire fraud charges. So California Governor Gavin Newsom's former chief of staff was arrested in a public corruption probe. Feds have charged Dana Williamson and other co-conspirators with 23 counts of obstruction of justice, false statements, bank and wire fraud yesterday, according to an indictment reviewed by the Sacramento Bee. Williamson, who left the governor's office in December of 2024, is named along with Greg Campbell, Sean McCluskey, and two others on conspiracy to commit wire fraud and bank fraud. There's 23 counts in total. 18 bank and wire fraud charges each carry a maximum of 20 years in prison and up to $250,000 in fines, according to the Sacramento Bee. Yeah. Newsom's office is trying and continually trying to distance themselves with regards to this scandal. Newsom's office told the Sacramento Bee, quote, Ms. Williamson no longer serves in this administration. While we are still learning the details of the allegations, the governor expects all public servants to uphold the highest standards of integrity. At a time when the president is openly calling for his attorney general to investigate his political enemies, read that as, at the time that the president is calling for his attorney general to actually uphold the law. But anyway, this continues. It says, it is especially important to honor the American people of being innocent until proven guilty in a court of law by a jury of one's peers. So according to federal prosecutors, between February of 2022 and September of 2024, Williamson and the co-conspirators diverted about $225,000 in funds from a dormant political campaign for personal use. The money was funneled through various business entities and disguised as pay, according to these federal prosecutors. Yeah. I bet some of that ended up in the governor's pocket. Just saying. That would be a bet. Not like an actual thing, but that would be a bet. It just, folks, we can't even find, you cannot find an honest politician anywhere. You're just not going to find them. I'm just saying. As far as that goes. So, yeah. I guess yeah. Anyway. So, the FBI Sacramento Special Agent in Charge Sid Patel says today's charges are the result of 3 years of relentless investigative work in partnership with IRS criminal investigations and the U.S. Attorney's Office. The FBI will remain vigilant in its efforts to uncover fraud and corruption ensuring our government systems are held to the highest standards. There's also a report that Jasmine Crockett has been living high on the hog with her political contributions as well. That she books like high-end suites in hotels and all kinds of other perks that are questionable in nature. I mean, you can't really use political donations for those kinds of things, generally speaking. But that she's been living high on the hog with all of it. So, yeah. Yeah. Well, guess what? There's a report out now that has opened up a reason as to why the housing market is so unaffordable in the U.S. Now, a lot of people would think that the housing market might be due, this whole thing for the housing market might be due because of a lack of, if you listen to the left, a lack of supply, the fact that BlackRock has been buying up all this stuff, all these other things. And it turns out that it's actually cemented, the problem is actually cemented into the foundation of our U.S. housing system. And that there's a flaw with regards to it that has taken decades to show up. That they point to, some of these experts that are looking into this point to three major forces that do the most damage: restrictive zoning, land use barriers, and financial policies that have choked supply and pushed prices out of reach. Now, two of those things are government regulations. Two of them are government regulations. So once again, government regulations and government overreach has now made it to where there's all kinds of problems. Joseph Gyorko, a professor of real estate and finance at the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania, stated, "There are just many, many ways to halt and stop development, and we've gotten very good at it in the United States." The resistance to new construction, experts say, is why restrictive zoning and regulatory barriers top the list of forces driving America's housing crisis. Jim Tobin, president of CEO and of the National Association of Home Builders, said the cost of regulations alone plays a massive role in housing affordability. He told Fox News, regulatory burdens really do add up on the unaffordability index. We estimate that nearly 24% of the cost of a single-family home is embedded in regulations at all three levels of local, state, and federal government. That comes out to roughly $94,000 in regulatory costs. Once again, our government, across the board, sticks their fingers into the pie, and the pie becomes extremely expensive. Now, Tobin also pointed out that local governments intentionally restrict growth, adding both time and cost to the process. He goes, sometimes there are communities that just regulate because they want to impede growth. They don't want more homes built. And the longer builders wait, the more expensive their projects become. Yeah. So there you go. It's not just the unaffordability of money, it's the unaffordability. You kind of wonder why these home prices are getting into the millions, and the mean home price being around 400,000 or so across the country. Yeah, that would be one major reason why. So, anyway. All right, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com. Get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, too, don't forget, on your way out, hit those thumbs up and thumbs downs, or if in the case of 3 Chevy, thumbs sideways, across all of my platforms, whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, and, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.